Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to another awesome time with Blessed. And today, what we're doing is we're doing some cloud security stuff. Cool, right? Okay, so this is what's gonna be happening. Yeah, this series. For this series, we'll be recording videos on cloud security. There should be about 8 to 9 videos in the series, where we'll be covering some awesome cloud security uh, um, lessons and modules. Pretty cool stuff to look out for. That being said, today we'll be specifically focusing on creating that IAM user and certain permissions in a way to ensure it's secure. But before I jump right into the video, I strongly advise if you've got a cloud account set, make sure you've got that two-factor thing happening just for that compensating security, compensating control, sorry, in case anything happens. So I've got my two-factor setup, and also cloud security is not far-fetched from what you know around securities on-prem, but just some slight differences. So you want to be sure you pay attention to those details as well. Obviously, the cloud is still a computing resource hosted somewhere, not on-prem, but you have to connect to it via a secure channel, right? So for us, we also look at vulnerabilities around the connection and vulnerabilities in the cloud, which is majorly due to misconfiguration or bad configuration, permissions, and all that stuff happening in there. So we'll be in this series, we'll be looking at some of those, and then hopefully I see you learning some few stuff or some cool stuff from these sessions, this series which we'll be recording. And also please do like our YouTube videos, and do subscribe as well. We're trying to grow the channel. I know it's not as at its best currently, but we are upgrading, and we hope to get to that optimal quality which you crave for on YouTube. Enough of my cheap ad. Let's get right into this. So I already authenticated to my cloud dashboard, as you can see on my screen. I skipped that process because I didn't want to show a bit of details that are personal to me. So now right here, you can either search for a service, or you can use the drop down here to view a bunch of services. So you can see that it computes where you find the EC2, the Lambda, and Elastic Beanstalk, where you find, or the storage, where you find the S3 buckets and some backups, or database, where you find some DynamoDB font stuff, or maybe you want to go all the way to maybe front end, web and mobile, for those who loves to do some front end dev stuff, or robotics even. You can go all the way down to maybe security, identity, and compliance, where you find the IAM. Now, today's video is specific to IAM, or you can also do the VPC if may be, but we'll get into that somewhere along the line. Most of these domain will be touched in this series, so you want to stick around and follow the videos, and I hope you'll get to learn something cool. Great. So you can also see there's the IoT stuff happening there. Cool stuff as well, but I don't think we'll be doing IoT. So quickly, we're going to click on the IAM because that's what we want to get into today, basically. And so we'll be creating that IAM user. We'll just create one for today. So if this opens up, I see like I've got a user already. I'm going to look for that, and I see there's an Alice user, so I'm going to remove that user so we can actually just create this from scratch. So that's Alice. I'm going to remove that user. So let's wait for that. So to start with, we'll create groups. Now, talking about groups, users, and permissions, I always stress in my other videos that permissions is best set groups, not users, because if the user belongs to the group, the user has got the permission. If the user leaves the group, the permission is stripped off the user. But when you attach permissions to users, as the user, if the user is a mover in the enterprise, by the time he is moved around 10 different departments, he becomes a demigod. Now, for such user, they are risk to the business at large. So it's always advisable to create those groups. set permissions in those groups and add users to those groups. That way it becomes easy to keep track or manage what has been assigned as a permission without going through the hassle of having demigods in your environment. So now that we've got this clean state, we're going to go to straight to use group. We'll create a group first, then we'll set some permissions in the group, then we'll create users as well. So first thing we want to do is the group. So let's create the group. Now we'll just click on group. So we'll click on create group quickly. Most of what we're doing here is clicky, except when we'll be maybe configuring some permissions on ourselves, we'll have to type the permissions using the module in AWS. You see that, you watch that actually. Maybe today we might do something like that. So we'll give the group a name quickly, which is one of the first things we want to do. So what we're going to call this, we'll call this YouTube. Maybe YouTube training, or if I can spell. I need to change my keyboard. It's really messed up. Okay, great. So we've got that thing happening there. Now we've got YouTube training set up as the group name, and add users. We're not going to do this for now. We're going to skip this one. Add users. Attach permissions policies. We could also skip this for now. We can set policies here later. So I think we're just going to click next if that allows us. And great, so we've got our group. So see, no permission set, so it's giving us that flag. No user set, it's giving us the flag as well. So we don't have a user, we don't have no permissions. Great, so what can we do about this? We need to now set some permissions. So what we're going to do is, since we've got the group thing, can we attach policy to this group? Maybe we'll click on policy, or we can click on edit this. We can edit this group anyways. You can select the group, then maybe click on policy. So can we do some policy here? Maybe we'll look for some specific. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's swap it. IAM first. IAM. So there are a bunch of them anyways. You could search for what you want, or you could even create yours if you can find it there. You can actually create yours. So let's search for IAM first. User, maybe IAM user, anything like that. Change my keyboard password. Do we have anything like this? Okay, great, there is something. So we're going to select this because we want to add that. I think that should be it. If we've got this selected, and can we just attach it straight? We can actually just attach it straight. That should do the job for us. Let's see what comes up. Now group again. Let's see what it's going to show us now. We're taking it bit by bit, step by step anyway, so we don't want to go too fast. Okay, so click on this group. It's popping up in a new window. We're going to see what comes up. So great. Here we go with our group thing. And do we have any permissions currently? Oh, I think the one we created did not get in the group. So probably I'm going to go back. I shouldn't have clicked on attach policy. I think I'm going to drop one step back. Sorry about that. Okay, so we were here. We searched for IAM user. IAM user change. Password. Okay, so we select this, and we want to create that policy. You can click on create that policy. Quickly, it will create the policy. But I think we can add multiple. I think we can add multiple. All on the go. So what we're doing basically, we're attaching policy. I think we can just create it. Let's see. So check. Obviously no service. this is not what we want. Charge policy on our group. So I'm gonna just kill this one. I think I was using the wrong one. So IAM user change password. Search for that, and we select this. Great. So we add permissions. Okay, we've got that thing happening there. Permissions has been added. Now we can add more. We can add more if we want to. But I think we'll stick to this one for now. Or we can add another one. Maybe we add another one. What do you guys think? Something that can enable that anybody in the group to actually manage database, probably. Maybe. So let's say we've got this one good. Let's search for something related to, let me see, database, anything like that. It's like database. Administrator. Oh no. Touch policy. So we'll look for database administrator. COR. Okay, there you are. We'll select this as well. Then we'll add that permission quickly. Okay, great. So I think we've got two policies attached to this. So I think we're good to go. We can look around. Anything else? Currently no users, but we've got two permissions. So if I fall back to maybe group, look at that again, you see now we've defined permissions. So we've got permissions happening, and that is checked, define permissions, but we still don't have users. So I think our next goal would be to create some users in the group, maybe. So we've got a group thing going, and it is good to go. So I can fall into the group again, just clicking it takes me in here. I can view the permissions. These are the permissions that we've set currently. Okay, I can actually click on each of these permissions and just look within. There's no harm, actually. You're not harming anybody, you're not hurting the cloud. So you can look at a summary of the JSON for that permission. Gives you an idea of what is actually doing. Anyways, I love to look at the JSON because most times when I have to build mine, I can work with this to also write my own permissions, which we're going to see later. So I'm just showing you what that looks like. If you've been around securities, maybe ACLs and stuff like that, this shouldn't be strange to you because I believe you should be able to understand the plain text readable JSON. Why is this thing slow? Scripts. So we've got a version, the statement, then we've got the effects is allow. So this is allowing. It could be disallow or deny. You've got the action. So look at all that actions that it sets. All these actions. Now, if this seems pretty too much for you, you can actually strip off some from it and own it to what you want it to do anyways. For all these actions are set. Then for resources, also allow IAM, the pass role. So all these are actually set. Monitoring role and the access. And this view. If it seems pretty too much for you also, like I did say, you can modify it and own it to what you want it to do. There is no harm in doing that. So going back in there, we've got these sets. Great. So I think at this point we've got a group, and we've got our group ready, and I think it's good to go. We can see the airing. Okay. Then no users still. So what we want to do at this point is maybe we're going to try and see if we can add some users to the group probably. So we're going to select users. Just click user. Then we've got this open. So currently no users, so we can find users. So what we'll be doing is we'll be adding users, right? So click add user. We want to add some user. So we should have the box to create users. So maybe we'll call this Benjazi. Funky name, right? Okay, we could add multiple users, as you can see. Add another user. I could add maybe Paulo, or add also maybe Jasmine. If I can spell the name correctly. Okay, great. So we've got that user thing going on there, and then we've clicked on that. So we're adding those users. Now, if you check below, there is this select AWS access type. So you've got two options. You've got, you see, there's an asterisk, similar to the first one, pragmatic access, which enables an access key ID and secret access key for the AWS API CLI. So whatever the user, if the user is trying to use any of these modes to actually connect, there is an access key and a secret access key. Or the second option, which is the AWS Management Console access. I think I'd love to use the Management Console, but for today we're going to follow with the first one. I don't know. Just look around, think. Let's work with the first one today. No problem. Cool. So next, we'll set some permissions. Great, we've got 3 users. All right, so look at this. This came up. So what can we do? Let's see previous. Okay, no option for password yet. Next. So let's set in permissions. Add user to group. So that's the person that pops up. So we have a group there already. So we're going to add these 3 users to the group. We'll just check this. No qualms. There is no existing user, so we could copy permissions from existing user or attach existing policy directly. We're just adding them to the group. Remember, we set permissions in the group. So we're using that. We're adding these users, to the group. We could set permission boundary. If it be, create user without a permission boundary, or use the permission boundary to control the maximum user permissions. We can still set some restrictions. And that's one thing I love about the cloud. It makes it very flexible to manage security. All we're doing is we're trying to secure that user in the group, right? Basically. So we've got that thing going on. And I think the next should enable us to set the password, probably. Let's see. I'm just going to fall back a bit and see. Yeah, I think I want to set a password also. Good. Let me set a password also. Console password. To generate password. Custom password. I'm going to set something. So it's just keyboard anyways. All right. So required password reset. So which means they try to authenticate. The 3 of them have to change this password. They cannot use this password to authenticate. So I'm forcing them to change password, just like you do in AD. Your AD server configuration. Actually, you can enforce password change for the user you're creating. The same is what I'm actually doing here. So next, come on, I don't want to save nothing. So select that group thing, and we can create it out permissions boundary, like I told you, or we can do with permissions boundary, whichever you want to work with. Anyways, fine. So we've got that thing going on. I think this looks pretty fine. This looks pretty fine. I don't see anything else here that is I want to change. Maybe just do some reading. I think this is fine. I don't want to set any boundary for now. So I'm just going to set a tag. Yeah. So tagging, basically what it does is more like a unique ID or unique identifier, something that you can use to identify the user or something like that. So we can set a key and maybe set a value for it, but it's optional actually. Nobody's going to force you to do that, but we can actually do that. Remember, we're trying to secure this cloud what we're working with. So what can we do? And maybe we'll just put some department. Then maybe we'll set a value to maybe training. Yeah, since we're actually doing training. What do you expect? Okay, that's pretty fine. Cool. We could add more tags, but anyways, I think I'm just fine with one. Trying to make this video pretty short. So next. So now we can review. We've got usernames, Benjazi, Paolo, Jasmine. We've got AWS types. It's actually pragmatic access and the AWS management console. So whichever way they want to authenticate, they can. The console type is custom. Required password reset. Obviously, yes, we're enforcing that policy. Then permission boundary. We didn't set no permission boundary. So if you look down, we've got the group YouTube training, management policy, manage policies, IAM change password that is set. Then tags, just department. So at this point, we can create users, right? We're good to go. Great. So we've got all these users with their access keys, their secret keys, and email login instructions. So I could just send this directly to an email if I have their email address, and they will receive an email with this login instruction. Let's see if I can do this. Do I have it? I cannot authenticate here. I don't want to show that on YouTube. So you could send it directly to an email. The user can grab that and authenticate with the link, then get into their stuff. Or I could download the CSV file and maybe now send this to them one-on-one, basically, if that's the way I want to work with. Okay, cool. So I think this is fine. The first phase of this video is done. But remember, we ain't done yet, right? So we just have the first phase sorted out. So what's next now? That's the next phase which you're going to get in. And maybe we take a short break, drink some water. Oh, that seems pretty cool. Water is good. Okay. So moving on with this, now that we've got this first phase good to go, we will jump straight into the next phase. Remember, we're not sending it to the email, we're not doing none of those stuff. So we might be grabbing those ID and secret key to authenticate directly from here. So bear in mind, I might just as well download the CSV file and put it in my download folder. I can just open it and leave it somewhere running in the background, so I can always fall back to it. Okay, great. So I'm gonna hide this. Okay, cool. Yep, we've got that cool stuff happening there. All right, so next from this point, anyways, I'm gonna shut this down once I'm done. So none of this is going to really make any difference. Great. So once we have this started out, now the next, we're going to attach some policies to users. We want to set some policies. So these are users. I'm going to close this and go back. Let's attach some policies to users. Let's see how that works. So we've got these three users, remember. They all belong to the group YouTube training. None of them is got MFA. So I'm going to enforce MFA for them also. And then set some policies. Password age is set. Active key age is set as well. So which means that's going to be something that actually refreshes, changes as time goes. And I love this little message pop up here that just shows what has been done. It's pretty cool anyways. Okay, so we're going to click the username, or we can just select all three of them. Let's see if that works out for us. If we can do that as words. If it's not, then we can do one-on-one. So we're selecting that username. Now what can we do with this? We can try to see if there's a way to give me a minute. Okay, so let me see if I can do one-on-one. Select that user. Okay, so for that user, we've got the summary page. and this is what it looks like. I was going to see if I can do for 3 of them, but we'll go from simple anyways. Just the one first. Let's see how that works. So if you look at the permissions, I can drop this down, up, sorry. You can add permissions directly, or we can see there's a policy already attached, right? Change password, that's going to force them to change password. And the group training, there is a tag, departments, right? Security credentials. We're going to quickly jump away from these. Okay, access advisors. So anyways, none of that is happening here for now. So going back to permissions, you can see the path as well. It's just a root directory of that user. Great. So at this point, you can see a summary, a nice little summary. Anything I'm doing, I'll actually take it down once I'm done with this video. You can see a nice little summary. And from here, probably we can see what to do with this. So we've got the name, we've got the details, Benjazi user, and then we've got the user array. You can copy this quickly and just dump it somewhere. So let's add some permissions. Click on add permissions. Now this pops up. You can search for permissions, which is what we'll be doing basically, and see how that works out for us. So what we'll do at first, let's maybe attach a system policy, maybe. Let's see. So there are a bunch of existing one. We can work with any of these. I think we'll be working with some of them. Let's start for maybe the read-only access, Amazon. Maybe Amazon Amazon 3 read-only. If that's a thing there, I cannot find nothing. My spelling correct? Wrong spelling. Shouldn't be the E there. Okay, so this should be fine, I think. So it's still not fine. Am I making a mistake? Move this. Should I use a capital letter? Amazon. Amazon S3. Is that it in there? Oh, great. So we've got the full access. We've got because we're going to be creating an S3 bucket, but this is like an access. So we've got the full access. We've got the object lambda execution policy. But I think we're going to be using the read-only access for now. So we'll select read-only access. That's just the one we want to add. We'll click next, review. So we've got that in there. I think we can add these permissions quickly. So we've got a permission added, and there are 3 more. Great. So if you look at that, we've got these things happening here. This one we just set. This one was set by default, and force them to change the password. So I think that one is good to go. Can we add another one? We can add another one, maybe, probably. What else can we add? I think we already add. That's fine. I'm trying to keep this video simple, anyways. But you can add all the permissions just to build that security layer. But I think I've already stripped a lot by just giving them read-only access to the S3 bucket, which we're going to allow them to have access to. We've actually stripped them to that bearable minimum of only read. Cannot even write. So talk more execute. Great. So I think we're good to go. We're good to go. And we have that policy instead attached directly with only access. So from this point, what can we do? What can we do? What else can we do? Just looking around, what else can we do? Maybe we'll create one custom one just to show you guys how it looks like. I don't know. Maybe we'll create a custom one. Let's create a custom one. I don't know. But let's see how that works. So wait, maybe a custom policy might be fun to do. Hmm. Okay, so let's click on policy. Hmm. So let's create a policy just so you guys can see how that stuff works. So here we're going to click, let's see, we choose the service. Maybe we'll do the cloud fronts. Cloud map, cloud9, cloud fronts. Let's work with cloud fronts. Okay, so maybe that should work out fine, probably. I don't know. We'll see. And if we expand it up, as you can see a bit more details. Or we can just select all of them, but it's always a good practice to look at them. You want to be sure you know what you're clicking anyways. Don't want to just click all CloudFront actions. That's not a good way, not a good way to go. You can see it's showing me one it's already. You don't want to do that. Don't try to do that. Okay. So what we're going to do is maybe set access level. Maybe only read might be fine. Even read, there are a bunch of them. I think that is way too much. It's giving us the best advice. See, specify distribution resource, arrange for the get distribution and 2 more actions. Specify origin access identity. All that we didn't do yet anyways, but it's throwing those errors at us. But anyways, we'll see how we can probably proceed with this. If it doesn't work, we might just take those ones out and continue with the others we have. But we want to do only read access, but there are 24 of them. So you want to be sure you review them and to be sure the user really needs this. If they don't, maybe you can minimize it, strip it down a bit to what they basically need, least privilege. That's the best way to go anyways. So you see, we can expand on resources where those errors have been thrown at, and we'll see some of these errors here showing us. So what can we do here? Maybe we just select our resources. That's it. Now look at this. I want to point this out. I'm only doing this for simplicity's sake. As a best practice, define permissions for only specific resource in specific accounts. Alternatively, you can grant least privilege using conditions key. I just mentioned this. Very, very important. Very important. So I'm only doing this for demonstration purpose. It doesn't mean it's the best practice. It's not the best practice, please. You should have gone specific and set specifics, but I'm just bypassing that and selecting all resources anyways. So do not try that if you're going to be using this for anything. Do not try to do that. Not cool. Really not cool. Okay. So let's say we request condition and see what's there. We can enforce MFA here. I think we have to do that. Now, there's another very unique thing you see here, source IP. So more like you find in ACLs, firewalls, and or routers and stuff like that. I can actually set a source IP. If you read the statement there, it says allow access to the specific action only when the request comes from the specified IP. So which means I can select source IP and set that IP range there to my organization's IP because I only want only that IP range to access. This is more like what we say what we call a whitelist, only allow and deny everything else. More like allow only this, deny everything else. So it's a whitelist basically. So but we're not doing this today. Well, best practice you should actually, if you've got the IP network, you just want to specify them here to be sure you only allow through this resource which we're setting up here. Great. So we can proceed with this. If we need a tag, I don't think we need a tag. I think this is pretty cool. We just click on next. We did check MFA, right? But I'm not adding no tag here today. So or you can actually tag it as well. You can add a tag if need be. Or should we do that? Maybe. Just call this oh no, I don't need to. Okay, so just go next. Okay, I don't want to add tag. Okay, I'm just gonna add something. I'll just remove it anyways. Go next. So we're reviewing the policy. Now we have to give it a name, right? So let's add a name. Maybe we'll give it what can we give it? What can we call it? User access control policy. Fun. So we're creating this one, just showing you how it works to create a policy. User access control policy. That sounds like a fine name. So we can set a description, probably custom policy to grant read only access. So to grant read only access for our cloud fronts. Okay, that's some pretty fun, cool stuff. Okay, read only access for our cloud fronts. Put the demarcator there just to save ourselves that red thing there. Okay, that's pretty cool. Read only access is what we're actually doing here. And we didn't set no tags, no tag sets. I think this is good to go at this point. And then about okay, everything looks pretty cool. Then we can create that policy, right? So let's click on create that policy quickly. Let's wait for that to roll. So let's see, this is our policy, right? Okay. User access control policy. That was what we named it as. And look at what it looks like. So all those bunch of stuff we actually allowed, they're defining in the policy. Okay, great. So it's fun stuff, right? Now, you can practice this on your own. Try to create some custom policy on your own, just so you understand how that works. We've also got the user access custom policy thing. You can see that. So there's the control policy, there's the custom policy. You can see that as well, the JSON. Now we can copy these and use to do what we want to do, or we can add them to the group that we've already created. So let's see from this point on. Maybe I'm just going to select both of them. Maybe select one of them. Okay. Just to show you, but I already showed you there anyways. It was the first one there. So there's nothing, obviously nothing to show. Just want to show you what it looks like. Okay, here goes our policy, and it's in CloudFront, so we're good to go. Right on time. Great. Okay, so it's set for CloudFront. You can see that's happening there. It's complete only read access. So that's, you want to be sure it's read access. If you've seen anything like read and write, please you gotta fix that, because what we're doing is just setting read access. But that depends on what you're trying to do anyways. So for what we're doing here today, the goal is just to set that read access. Great. Now we've got this thing going on. We'll go back to the dashboard, and I think we're good to go. Phase 2 is done and dusted. All right, so let's go review. Oh yeah, take a stretch. So we see my root account has got the MFA happening there. No active access key, actually. I didn't want one. So if I go down users, see there are 3 users. If I fall back, IAM policies, see that there are the 2 policies which we created, right? Great. We want to be sure that it's there actually. Go back to IAM. Then the roles, you can as well see the roles that we had set. Okay, great. Cool. Fall back in there. And it all seems pretty cool. So we've got a group happening here. We've got all these things set up already happening here. Cool. So what can we do next? What can we do next? So can we try to sign in? Can we try to sign in as the IAM user since we've got this thing good to go? Can we? So where can we find the sign in button? We're gonna fall into the group. We're just gonna fall into users. In Jersey. Da, 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 da. Okay, still looking around to be sure we're good to go. Got one tag. Do the credential. Okay. Sign in link. So we're gonna grab the sign in link. And maybe we'll open an incognito browser. Let me see. Can I open incognito? It's been a while I used that thing. Where is it normally? I'm not sure anymore. Okay, incognito browser. Mm. New tab, new window, private browser. Okay, great. That's it. So we're going to dump the link in here. And let's go see if we can authenticate as Ben Jazzy. So wait for that to open up. Okay, so the IAM user is Ben Jazzy, I think. Then the password resets. It should force us to change the password. So you see the old password, then new password. So let's set a new password. Okay, confirm this. See if that works fine. Seems it works pretty cool. So we are authenticating as the IAM user. Now we're going to try to see if we can abuse permissions, if it's going to allow us or if it's going to just shut us down and tell us, sorry, you're not allowed to do this. So this is us as the new IAM user, and you can see, excuse me, let me shrink this down a bit so I can manage both windows side by side. So I can do some good explanation. Okay, because I'm going to be comparing both of them. So I'm going to take this out. Now, for this Ben Jazzy user, this is the root user actually. So then this other Ben Jazzy user is this user which we had just created, the IAM user. So this is an IAM user. You can see there, AWS IAM is there. Then the user is Ben Jazzy. Great. So this one is global, while this one is in Ohio. Cool. So cool. Great stuff. You can also verify with the IAM user ID just to be sure they are different. Actually, they are different people. So what we're going to try to do is now we are signed into IAM. We've got the IAM thing. We've set some basic permissions, and we want to try and see if we can abuse probably if we can abuse, if it's going to allow us, it's going to shut us down immediately, or it's going to block us from doing that. Great. So we've got this open. One quick way to verify is to try and see if we can maybe, with this user, who is an IAM user, probably create an IAM. Is it possible? We'll go check out. So let's go drop this down. Let's go look for IAM. Let's see if it's going to allow us to do that. I'm trying to create an IAM user as an IAM user, basically. That's one basic abuse. And, we'll wait for the, okay, great. So you can see what is happening. It threw up an error at first. Then it's trying to load something. So look at that error. Let me make this stretch so you can read clearly. So look at that. IAM dashboard. It's saying you do not have permissions required to perform this operation. Ask your administrator to add permissions. So we did not set permission for this IAM user to be able to create IAM users. So he was trying to create an IAM user. Now this was instantly flagged. If I had configured login, this would have sent me an alert that there's a funny user trying to create an IAM user, and I can go triage that log. So basically, we can see how read-only access and the proper permission can prevent misuse of cloud resource, just as we can see clearly here. So this user has got no rights to do that. Further details are explained in the error message. You do not have permission required for this. You have to ask administrator to grant you permission to do that. You can see that's just popping up everywhere. You do not have permissions. You do not have no permissions to do what you want to do. Okay, great. I think this is where I'm going to shut this session down. Now we can see one good way to secure an IAM user. We were able to set up an IAM user, and we set up restrictions around the IAM user. Now, I didn't do the same for the other 3 of them. So maybe we go back, the other 2 of them, sorry. And let's see if we can work with maybe Jasmine. Unexpected error, right? So I'm dropping into Jasmine. I did not configure nothing for this user yet. So this user probably is not active yet, still hanging there. So I'm going to just copy the link to Jasmine and try to see, maybe I'll change the password and see if I can do the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. We verify that this user can do nothing. So let's sign out. Okay, so let's go try using the Jasmine user account. So I'm just going to paste that link in there. So the username, I'm going to quickly go verify that. It's Jasmine. Okay. Then the password. It should force me to change the password as usual. So let's see if we can abuse this user to do something. Since we didn't set the permissions, we just want to try and see what happens. So we're in as Jasmine actually, right? So great. So this is Jasmine, as you can see there, the drop down. This is Jasmine user. So of services, let's try and see if we can do that IAM thing again. Probably this time we might get a lucky charm. So we're trying that stuff out. Okay, obviously it's throwing back at us. Great. I expect that should be what we're seeing, not allowing us to do it. it had, probably there had been a problem somewhere. So look at that again. Hey, now this is the caveat. The first one, I restricted him to read only. This other Jasmine user, I didn't set no permissions. So by default, I didn't even set him to be able to do this. So it's more like what we call default, what's it called? Skip my mind. So you didn't set no permissions, it restricts. It's the least privilege actually. It's the least privilege security structure that is being implemented here. So you didn't set no permissions. Is not allowed to do nothing because no permissions were set for the user. So the default key that is set is deny. That's what's happening. Default deny or default deny. More like when you look at your router's ACL and it goes in that order from top to bottom. If nothing, default is denied. That's what is happening here. Nothing was set, default denied. If something was set, it looks up for what is set, then acts on that. So in the first user, we had set that restriction, read only. The second user, we didn't set no nothing, and default deny was implemented. Very good security practice. So this is where we're going to quit this video for today. So I'm going to quickly get out of this Jasmine user, because I have to shut down all this user. I have to delete everything else. Okay, great. So it's been fun hanging out with Blessed once again, and I really enjoyed tonight's session. I'll try to see how fast we can take on the other sessions, maybe once a week. So next week, I'll be recording the next video on the cloud security series, and that next video will be looking at maybe enforcing, probably, I don't know, enforcing access control. Yeah, we'll enforce access control policy and look at that access control policy that was created, maybe modify it a bit, then enforce it. So we can now start locking down the users to only do what we want them to do, or what they are supposed to do. That's the best way to secure the cloud. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's been fun, and I'll see you the next video in this series. Peace.